We are live at the enterprise level MSS forum, and we are very pleased to welcome to the stage Evgeniy Kharam, security architect and author. And we're going to talk the art of
Yeah.
soft
Yeah.
skills, how to connect to sell more in an MSSP context. How are you doing, Evgeniy?
I'm doing really well. And I was listening to the panel before, and it was like almost like, oh my God, I want to just chime in and talk about it. But I hope we're going to cover many of the ideas, how to talk to a board member, how to talk to other people, how to present in my presentation today. So thank you very much for inviting, and thank you for the panelists to bring in this topic. It was very, really interesting to listen.
And, I mean, obviously people probably know this, but you're not a typical business focused person insofar as you're an architect.
I'm an architect. I've been around for 25 years. I did a variety of stuff. I did solution architecture for a very, very long time in a company called Horjovic Group. I did my fair share of configuration of firewalls. I did my fair share of managing people that are technical and doing delivery. I did my fair share of technical presentations as well and technical pre-sales. So quite variety of things, also including podcasting, conferencing, and many other things.
I like it. And so what inspired this book that you came out with?
I can, we can, how about we talk about this after I present?
Okay, you do it, and then we'll find out the backstory.
Yes, yes, because I have a feeling it's going to be answering some of the stuff. Let me know if you can see me and can see my screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Great. So we'll talk today about the art of soft skills and how to connect to sell more. And if you think about this, while we talk on MSSP, in reality, we all selling all the time. Who will do the dishes? Which movies we're going to see today? Who will take the kids to school? Whatever it is, in a way, we always selling something. This could be the report you're doing. This could be the risk assessment you did for someone. So we are sales in one way or another. And this brings an interesting point. When we talk cyber, we talk about risk, and people before me mentioned this several times. What's happening when we deliver risk to people? We have a very fancy graph, and if you're doing this the first time, people probably are not sure what's going on in a graph, and we need to explain to them what's happening there, what are the points, and what's going on. This is where the soft skills come in. If you cannot explain why you have this graph, what you're trying to deliver, if you cannot explain this in their business language, in their language they understand, create a metaphor, create a way for them to understand and see, oh, okay, this is what you mean here. Many business people are not cyber. They don't understand API. They don't understand TCP/IP. They speak different language. They don't understand all the Microsoft license. Not just them. Many people don't understand Microsoft license. That's a different story. And so we need to find metaphors and we need to find ways to explain to them. And in my mind, soft skills are the missing link in cyber and in general as well to explain to this. And you asked before, how do I come up to this? I needed to deliver presentations. I needed to explain to people what's happening. I needed to communicate to people in Canada, in Europe, in North America in general. So I needed to find a way to explain to them the best way in their language how it's going to be done. So let's mention who I am. I already mentioned who I am. I did quite a variety of stuff, so we can skip this slide and move on. For all the folks that watch Shark Tank in US as well, I worked for Robert Horjovic for 16 years. I graduated, as I called, 2 years ago and have my own consulting company right now. Let's dive in and talk more about soft skills. Thinking about cybersecurity, it's a very, very, very evolving space. We have state-of-the-art tools. We have AI coming and changing everything for the last 2, 3 years for generative AI at least. We have many tools. We have many technical people. We have so many different professions in the industry as well. Like literally every year there's a new profession. Something new comes in that wasn't even available, and to the point that sometimes we want a person with this particular knowledge, even so this exists only for 2 years. We want 10 years, all these jobs that we see on the internet and LinkedIn as well. And all these are hard skills. It's something we're learning. It's something that we can explain. In many cases, it's something that is repeatable. What I mean by this, When we program, we expect the same results. We may have bugs, we may have issues, but at least there's a consistency. In soft skill, is not. My mood can change, your mood can change, you day can change, you may have a headache. So it's always very dynamic. And even the same questions may produce different results, depend on the day or depend how many times you're going to ask this question. Now, let's also see what's happened in general with the sales evolution. Technology changed. I just mentioned this. When I started in Herjoy Group 18 years ago, we literally sold a firewall, an antivirus, email security, one optimization technology, and maybe a few other things. Right now, there is more than 100 different 20 categories, more than 120 different tools that this I have. I just give you an example. These are just two lists of stuff we sell, the stuff we explain and need to understand. So guess what's happening? The salesperson can no longer know all the acronyms. They can no longer explain everything. And what's happening is the sales engineer, in many cases, we have them in the vendor side, MSPs and VARs as well, need to step in and do more sales because it's become so complex. They're no longer just doing the demo and moving on. They need to do the smoothing, they need to do the understanding, they need to do the communication. In the same time, the procurement process become quite complex as well. We now need MNDAs, NDAs, a lot of legal work to actually have a deal. I still remember we're doing a big deal here in a bank in Toronto, and we needed 18 signatures to make a deal. Yes, it was a big deal, but still, it was a lot of paperwork. So the salesperson, in many cases, now became like procurement gurus. They really need to understand how it's done. So there's a change here as well. Also, if you look on this, during COVID, unfortunately, we all moved to work from home, but it also changed the way we communicate. Right now, majority of the calls, majority of the meeting, even this virtual conference is done virtual. So we're using Zooms, we're using Teams, Google Meets, GoToMeeting for some cases as well. Even LinkedIn now has video. I just had 2 calls this week using LinkedIn, video calls that I actually didn't use before. And what does it mean? When you're doing a video call, it's completely different ballgame. So for example, you see me still, I hope you can still see me. You only see part of me. So if I'm writing notes and I'm going to the right all the time, do you think I'm writing notes or maybe I'm making spaghetti here on the right? What's happening if I have multiple screens? I actually have multiple screens. I have 4 screens. There's a screen on my right, there's a screen on my left. There's a teleprompter right in front of me. This is why you have the impression, I hope so, that I'm looking right at you. And it's also a tool for me if I need to read something, I can put a teleprompter. But in many cases, we see people using several screens and they're looking on the laptop, but the camera is somewhere else. So now you're talking to the right side of the face. They still see you, but you don't see them. So you don't have this human connection as you used to do. You don't have the way to look what's happening everywhere in the room, who is sitting, how's the body position, are they interested, are they rolling the eyes all the time? And not everyone on video, unfortunately, as well. It's become quite hard to understand this part as well. The other part, how do you know they're actually listening and watching to what you're saying? How do you know they're not just saying, yeah, it's amazing. Oh, yeah, very nice feature. But just basically looking at the other screen and scrolling the Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or something else. So it's become very, very distracted. It's become very hard to make an impact and have somebody interested in what's happening. But don't worry, we'll deal and provide some tools as well. What else happening? The customer became very, very, very educated. It takes seconds, minutes to understand who you are and what you do. So before a meeting, a customer can literally go and put your company name in ChatGPT or Bing and understand who you are. So I just put our fearless leader here for the conference in Bing AI and understand who is Pelham, what he does, and why we need to listen to him. And according to Microsoft Bing, he's been around for some time, and we really need to kick in and listen to him, what he's saying. So thank you for your guidance and thank you for your expertise. So we should probably trust Bing. I think it's a very, very good way to explain who you are. But Everybody can do this about you. Maybe not your name, but definitely your company. They can understand who you are. And it's also a guide, an idea for you to do the same about them. We'll talk about this a bit later. Another part to think about it, everybody learn differently. Everybody understands stuff in a different way. Some people are very visual. Some people are audio. Some people are kinesthetic and they want to touch stuff. I had this opportunity to listen to more than 500 different vendors when I was at her jury group. And every vendor will come in and present the information differently. Some are very mature. Some will just come and say, ooh, look at my presentation. It's a very, very good presentation. Or the sales engineer will say, look at my demo. This is amazing demo. When you look at the demo, you will be blown away. Not everyone asks, Mr. Customer, we're here for you. Is there a better way for us to communicate the information to you? We can do a presentation, we can do a demo, we can talk about architecture flows or whatever it is. Yes, you may say it depends on the call. It depends if it's a first call, second call, third call. It depends if the customer called us or we called them. But there is still a way to let the customer navigate the conversation. Remember, they are a very educated customer. And here's something to think about it. If the customer don't have an opinion, if the customer don't know what they want, why is they on a call? Did somebody told them to be on the call? Did they don't know how they learn? Does it reflect their maturity level? Does it reflect it's actually going to buy? And in some cases, it may help you to understand what's happening. And if we're going to go deeper to these calls and understanding, it's come to the point when a sales team want to understand as quick as possible, is this a real deal? Is this deal going to happen this quarter next year? Or we here just for educational purposes? And by the way, it's also fine. And the soft skills kick in here to kind of open up our vulnerability and ask the customer, maybe not a second call, just to understand, do you have the budget? Is it a budgeted initiative? Do you plan to buy this year when the time comes? Because we don't want to spend 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 calls to understand doesn't go anywhere. Yes, not on the first call, later on. It's a very important question, but it's a vulnerable question because nobody wants to say to get no as an answer. But if you understand they're not planning to buy, they're here just for educational purpose, and it's a good as well. You don't need to spend so much time. I do hope you still spend time, you educate the customer, and maybe set time in 6 months, 8 months to come back to them. And you never know, maybe you'll change position, move to a different company, meet this customer again somewhere else, or the customer will move somewhere else and you're going to meet them again. So always think about this human connection and building your personal brand as well and credibility. Remember this? Nokia connecting people? Long time ago. I don't even know how old this picture, probably more than 25 years ago. But one part didn't change. We need to connect to people. We need to find a way to connect to people, and we need to do it as quick as possible. We have minutes on a call to make an impact, to have the other person care about what you want to tell them. The moment you create the personal connection with the other human being, they will care more to understand what you're trying to do. If you're not going to create this connection, then there's a good chance they will just listen and they will listen to somebody else and to somebody else, but they don't have any personal connection because they will care a bit less. And I find it all the time. The moment we create this mini micro connections, it's become much easier to present. We have more of the focus, more of the intention, and you build on top of this. So let's talk about some ideas. I like hooks and I like reverse hooks as well. So what's a hook? If you read Dale Carnegie, hook is something that we can find about a human being. So if you look at the gentleman here on the left, he has a picture of a case drawing. It may be symbolic to him. It may be to your kids. He's their nephew. It's totally fine to ask, hey, just can you tell me about this picture? It sounds very cool. It's a one hook. We have a lady on the right. She has a sailboat. I don't know if it's her sailboat, but still, if you have a sailboat, there's potential connection to the sailboat. Maybe she's sailing, or maybe she likes sailing in general. I made many connections by asking the questions in this way and trying to understand what they do and build on top of it. The gentleman has a guitar behind him. This could be a reverse hook because when you call the person, or if you have a guitar behind you, and I hope you play guitar, somebody may ask, hey, what's up with the guitar? I don't have guitar behind me because I don't play guitar, but I do have a green screen behind me. So let me see if we can do this very quickly. And if I remove my background, for example, you will see a green screen behind me. And in many cases, people will jump and call and say, hey, what's up with the green screen? And it gives me an opportunity to talk about my media work, to talk about the podcast and the stuff I'm doing. And by the way, because I have a green screen and because I have lights, I can now play with my virtual background, and my virtual background will look much more realistic than without a green screen and without the light. And they're not going to be like a ghost moving and stuff moving around me. So it's also an idea for you when you work on the office and you create a better environment and hooks to spend some money. We all kind of okay to probably spend $100 to buy new shoes, but are you okay to spend $100 to buy a microphone, or maybe spend money on a teleprompter, on a high-end web camera? Think about this; it's quite important. Let's move on to some other ideas. Let me just, I didn't move where I want to be. Okay, great. We spoke about research. So hooks, they can research you, you can research them. It takes minutes to go on Facebook, to go on LinkedIn, to find some hooks about the other person. This could be the language they speak beside English. This could be the schools they went or where they worked before. This could be some parts on Facebook, their hobbies. Please don't be a creep. Don't call someone and tell, I don't know what you did last summer, the amazing yacht you have there in Miami. Keep a very, very, different distance to understand what's happening and be professional and respectful as well. But there's a lot of research you can do to understand. And in some cases, it takes minutes, some cases it can take longer, but it definitely helps to connect with other human beings as well. Another part that's quite important, it's teamwork. If you're working by yourself, it's one part, but if you're working as part of the team and you're communicating with your customers as a team, as a salesperson, as an engineer, or maybe CSM, a customer representative, in the physical environment, it was easier to understand each other close. When you work on a virtual environment, I mean over Zoom, Teams, and Google Meets, it's much harder. So an example, for example, in my previous life, we will do a physical workshop. Customer will ask me a question, and my partner will understand that I need some time to do a research. He will take the conversation, move it somewhere else, or will try to ask questions to understand more. Again, how we ask questions is also important. Will give me few minutes to research the topic and get the answer to the customer. When we work over Zooms, Teams, and Google Meets, it's much harder. But we can still create scenarios using Slack, using Teams, using Signal, WhatsApp, whatever the choice of the tool you're using that it's applicable and approved by your company to communicate with each other. Hey, Bob, John, Natalia, can you please take the conversation over? I need a few minutes. And vice versa. Or to the point when we can have Google document or Word document running on the background where we have all the points of today's talk, where we can understand what we want to capture and go to the points. This way, even if we are distracted, we can come back to the document and understand we covered all the points. So working as a team is important. Communication team is important. Doing post-mortem after the call to understand we hit all the points and we are happy with the call and next steps. It's also important. Practicing calls as a team is also important. All these are important parts. And you may asking, there's a lot of information. How do we do this? Building blocks. This is my book. And if you see in the bottom of the book, there's building blocks. These building blocks are some part or pillars of a bridge that bring you to become a better human being, a better person that take into account on all the different things. I had a very unique opportunity to work with the individual that struggle with communication, that struggle with delivery of presentations, that had speech imperfections, mumbling a lot, speaking very fast, being a second-time immigrant. Oh, hands will be sweaty sometimes and fear, but with time, with different mentorship, with different ideas, and a lot of out of the comfort zone pushing out, this particular individual was able to overcome many obstacles. If you, yes, this is me. This is Evgeniy, still me, still somebody that always working and pushing himself out of the comfort zone to the next level to do other things. And all these ideas came into the book: public speaking, slowing down, breathing, fear, communication, asking questions, being okay with the accent I have right now and understanding there is nothing bad about the accent, accepting me as I am with changes that I need to do that will make more impact. So this is me, and it's important because you can do the same. And if you ask, where do you start? Here are some ideas. Insider, when we start a new company, we in many cases doing gap assessment. Do a gap assessment on yourself. Look on this list right now. Understand what are the topics here that you can work on them and make them better. So two things you can do. One is go talk to friends and ask them questions about yourself. Second is there a thing that you don't like to do? There is probably the things you should be doing, like public speaking, speaking up at the meet, or doing something else. So definitely there's work to it. When you start this journey, a couple of things that will help is one, find mentorship in many cases and find somebody that you can be accountable to them. Basically, you say, hey, I'm going to come to you and I'll tell you about my progress. Please ask me some questions. You don't have to be subject matter expert, but at least somebody that I can go and ask and not just do New Year resolution and say, oh, I'm going to start this and in 2 weeks, stop. In the end of my book, I have something called SSDP, Software Skills Development Plan, that helps individuals 30, 60, 90, 120 days to improve soft skills. I'm also working right now on adaptable SSDP that will have a quiz and questions and help people to create a plan that's more adaptable to them. That's it. I didn't want to speak for a very long time. Very happy to answer questions. If you want to find more, find me on LinkedIn, go to the website for the book, get the book to learn much more, and I'm here to help.
Well, thanks very much. I really appreciate that. And it was great to do a podcast with you on this very topic earlier. Lena, going backwards, Lena said that the Nokia image was nostalgic. I found it too flattering what AI came up with, but you know what? I would probably not have enjoyed if it said something negative, so that was kind of good. Um, maybe before I get on to David's sort of point, is there a way to ensure that when you do click that Google button, something nice will come up about yourself?
Yes, it is what it is. We cannot manipulate Google search and AI, but if you want to have something nice, it means you need to write and you need to contribute to write blogs, to write information. This way, the internet and the AIs will find the information you write, and usually you're going to write good stuff, so you're not going to be in a negative spot.
Okay, good, good. David says we're expected to sell virtually, but companies didn't think how. I guess we could flip that around and say, are there companies that are thinking more about how we sell virtually, or is it still kind of pandemic scram, put them in front of a TV?
I think we still sell virtually right now. This is why I this is the way it is. People not gonna spend money to fly you everywhere, only if it's a very big meeting. So we need to adapt and say that majority of the call for the first call is going to be virtual.
No, but what I mean is, are companies getting better at it, or are they still just throwing people
I,
at Zoom?
I think I'm getting better, slowly but getting better. Part of my vision is to improve this part as well.
I like it. James comments, you never really think about the setup. It's a good idea having the camera on the side, but at the same time in the middle. Can you speak to that? Because even from my perspective, I wonder how to make that work? Maybe just stylistically, because I don't know. I want to be looking at the person, you know?
So there's two things to do. One is if your laptop is in the middle, you put a camera on top of the laptop and you have to train your eyes to look in the camera and have like a side vision to look at the person. If you want to see the people, then you buy a teleprompter. And if it's a teleprompter, you can see the people and the camera.
Oh, perfect. And Lena thinks it's very much needed in marketing. Um, so I guess, you know, specific to the world of the MSSP, a lot of MSSPs have clients that are not in their geographic region. That's why we're doing this at an enterprise level compared to the SMB events where maybe they have a 50-mile sweet spot. What what do we want MSSPs to sort of go away and do? Yes, we want them to buy a book, but how can they make this challenge kind of percolate throughout their organization?
This is an interesting question. I don't really understand the question fully. Sorry. How the MSSP can evolve or how they
So
can sell geographically?
yeah, given that MSSPs have to sell to people all around the country or internationally
Hmm.
compared to the SMB level, this is a prime type of dilemma, I suppose, for the enterprise level. Um, so if we want them to go away and make a difference, how can they persuade their wider teams of this? What can they say? I mean, they could say, I've seen Evgeny, he's got an idea, or is there a way that maybe they could?
Just bring me in. I'm happy to present to your team. If you want to present to the entire team, I can do it.
I like that. Yeah. No, I was just thinking, how do we move it forward? How do we get the buy-in? Because I'm sure there will be, you know, marketers and so on that don't want to help the sales team evolve, and there'll be salespeople out there that just are stuck in their own ways. So I think this is good.
Yeah.
And then that question on you and your background, how did you get into working on more business questions from working on more architecture questions?
When I become an architect or business?
No. So you were an architect, you are an architect,
Yes.
but how did it suddenly occur to you to work on business questions? How did that start?
Because I'm working with C-level people, with VPs, and majority of their problem were business problem. They want me to translate cyber issues to business problems. So the more I spend time with them, the more I understand I need to learn to talk the business language. So it's natively moves there, and I realize quite interesting. It's a new challenge, and the rest is the history.
Okay. Well, good. That is simple. There you go. If it's testament to your style that you've managed to develop all of this. I really like it. Sean in the audience is clapping. So Evgeny, where will we next find you? Are you going to be at any events or anything coming up?
Yes, there's an event in Montreal next week called GoSack. I will be there physically talking about the book and presenting about soft skills. There's going to be a book signing event in October in Toronto here, in Black Hat Toronto sector. And later on, majority going to be on LinkedIn, probably virtual right now.
Okay, I like it. Well, thanks very much. Christopher's already clapping. Let's give you a big virtual round of applause, and I look forward to catching up very, very soon.
Thank you very much.
See you soon. I'll put you back in the audience.
Thank you.